Welcome to the 2025 Embedded Capture the Flag competition. My name is Ben Janis, and I, along with the rest of the MITRE organizer team, will be working with you over the next months as you compete to design, build, and attack secure embedded systems. I am particularly excited to welcome you this year as 2025 marks the 10th year of the eCTF. What started as a small challenge of 4 New England universities has grown into an international competition with 132 teams and over 1,000 students each year, stretching from high school to PhD. In 2017, I was in fact in your shoes as a sophomore computer science major competing at Tufts University, so getting to work on the eCTF and watch it grow has been a personal pleasure of mine. In 2025, we welcome not just New England, but 32 states across the US, as well as teams from 16 countries on 6 continents. This slide gets harder to create and harder to read each year, but a warm welcome to the 116 academic institutions competing, including 14 high schools, 12 community colleges, 90 universities, and even 1 scouting troop. A particular welcome to the 51 new schools joining us. The 4 original eCTF schools, Tufts University, the University of Connecticut, the University of Massachusetts Amherst, and Worcester Polytechnic Institute, as well as the 3 in a row returning champion Carnegie Mellon University. Will this be the year that they pass Northeastern University to clinch a record 4 victories, or will someone step up to steal their crown? Now, for those who aren't familiar, a quick introduction about the organization running the eCTF. MITRE is a non-for-profit organization that operates research and development centers sponsored by the federal government. MITRE works with industry and academia to apply science, technology, and systems engineering that enables government and the private sector to make better decisions, including, in my case, in embedded security. And the eCTF would not be possible without our generous sponsors, including the Northeast Microelectronics Coalition Hub, CrowdStrike, Rolls-Royce, SysDig, Fortinet, hardware donors, Analog Devices, and training supporter Boston Cybernetics Institute. Now to this year's competition. First, for those not familiar, what is a CTF? Well, a Capture the Flag, or CTF, is a cybersecurity competition where teams compete to solve challenges by capturing flags. There are thousands of CTFs each year, many run by schools represented in the eCTF. So what makes the eCTF special? Well, the eCTF is unique in 3 main ways. First, it focuses on embedded systems using real hardware. Second, it is a design, build, attack style competition where teams first build their own design and then hand them off for teams to attack each other's designs. Finally, the eCTF is run over 3 months to enable the complex efforts required for teams to pull all of this off. With that, it begs the question of what even is embedded security? Well, embedded security is the field of securing embedded systems, which are the trillions of small computers that run modern society. Embedded systems pose an interesting challenge in that they are often more difficult to design and build, but also face a number of unique attacks, as attackers often have physical access to the device. Over the next 3 months, you will get to see both sides of embedded security. Starting today is the design phase, where you will have time to design and implement your solution to this year's challenge. On February 26th, you will be able to submit your final design to the organizers, where we will test it for functionality. If it doesn't pass, you'll have more time to make fixes and resubmit. But once it does pass, you'll move to the attack phase, where you'll earn points for both attacking the designs of other teams, as well as for the security of your design as it faces the attacks of others. While this may seem daunting, we are here to help you succeed and provide a number of resources to get you going. In a minute, I will discuss the functional and security requirements that your system must meet. We will also provide the hardware your design must run on, as well as a reference implementation of the system so that you have a place to start. If you haven't yet received your hardware, don't worry. There's plenty of work to get done while it arrives that doesn't rely on hardware. You will also have a series of deadlines through the design phase flags to keep you on track, as well as support from the organizers and your fellow teammates on the competition's Slack workspace. In case that wasn't motivating enough, there are also $25,000 in prizes available to the winning teams this year. The top 3 teams will each receive cash prizes, along with $7,500 in additional prizes. Join us on April 25th in the Boston area for the awards ceremony, where the final winners will be revealed. Prize money is only available to US-based teams and other restrictions apply, so please see the participation agreement for the full details or reach us by email or on Slack. Now, on to this year's challenge. This year, teams in the eCTF must design and build a secure satellite TV system. Your team will design the encoder and decoder that should protect against attackers stealing free TV or interfering with your broadcasts. This is a timely challenge, as satellite communications are increasingly important in both government and private sector. Systems need to broadcast data securely to thousands of receivers or more, all while being targeted by sophisticated attackers who often have physical access to devices. The platform you will be using this year to create your system is the same as in 2024. The Analog Devices MAX 78000 Featherboards provide teams with a solid ARM processor with a good amount of memory, though less than you may be used to if this is your first time working with embedded systems. While we don't yet have an actual satellite for you to use, the eCTF will simulate the flow of a real-world satellite TV system. The transmissions will start with raw frames at a base station that will be sent to the encoder you design. Your encoder will then protect these frames for transmission, which will be sent via uplink to the satellite and then down to all listening TVs. There, the TV will send your protected frames to your decoder running on hardware, which will extract the original frames for display on the TV. With that high-level overview, I will now go into a bit more detail of what you will need to create during the design phase. First, you must provide the build tools to create a full satellite TV deployment. The Generate Secrets program will create the base secrets that will be used to protect your system. The exact design and content of this is completely up to you, and you may choose to generate further secrets at later steps. Second, the build environment step generates a Docker image that will allow decoders to be built. If you are not familiar with Docker, keep an eye out for the Docker workshop coming up. With the initial deployment setup done, we can now build the decoders that will be distributed to customers. This step will be run in the previously created Docker image and will compile your code to create firmware that will be loaded onto the boards for use with the TV. During the design phase, the raw firmware will load onto the design phase boards, the boxes without red sticker dots on them, allowing you to use debuggers to help you develop. During the attack phase, the firmware attackers will have access to will be encrypted and will only be able to be loaded on the attack phase boards, the boxes with red dots, preventing attackers from simply decompiling the firmware. Finally, the Generate Subscription program allows us to create subscriptions for the decoders. Once given to a decoder, these subscriptions will allow that specific decoder to access a particular channel for a set duration. With the system built, we can now run it. The encoder you provide will be a pip installable Python package that implements the encode function. This function will take a channel number, the current timestamp, and the raw TV frame and must return the protected frame to be transmitted by the system. The encoder will be run on a traditional computer and attackers will not have direct access to it, only the encoded frames it produces. Those frames will be sent to TVs attached to the hardware decoder running on the MAX 78000 Featherboards. This device provides 3 functions to the TV. The TV in this competition will be your desktop or laptop connected to the decoder. First, the decoder must be able to list all of the channels it is currently subscribed to. Second, it must be able to subscribe to a new channel, taking in the subscription created earlier. Finally, it must be able to decode frames for channels with valid subscriptions, returning the raw frames to the TV. Note, all decoders must decode the emergency broadcast channel on channel 0. Attackers will have access to the hardware running the decoder, so be aware of potential embedded attacks that may enable. In addition to the functional requirements, your system should also implement the following security requirements. 1. An attacker should not be able to decode TV frames without a decoder that has a valid, active subscription to that channel. 2. The decoder should only decode valid TV frames generated by the satellite system that the decoder was provisioned for. 3. The decoder should only decode frames with monotonically increasing timestamps. Please spend time understanding these requirements fully, as misunderstandings could lead to flags being captured. If you have questions, please feel free to ask on Slack. To keep your team on track through the design phase and to earn some early points, we have set out a number of design phase flags. These flags are generally not overly complex or time-consuming, but are designed to show that your team is staying on track and isn't hitting early roadblocks. Unless explicitly stated otherwise, flags must be submitted to the scoreboard by noon Eastern Time Zone that day. Partial points will be awarded to teams who submit design flags late. Please note that the first flag is due next Wednesday. Next, let's talk a little about the attack phase. The attackers will be provided with the following resources in the attack phase: the secure firmware images as shown on the next slide, all source code from all teams, the most recent documentation from all teams, and the standard host tools provided. Again, your understanding of this list is crucial to the security of your design, so please make sure that you understand this. Here is the attack phase deployment visualized. Everything in blue is accessible to and controlled by the attacker, including a valid decoder with subscriptions to channel 1. Next, I will walk through each of the attack phase flags. In the expired subscription flag, attackers will have access to a subscription for their own decoder for channel 2, but that subscription will have expired. If an attacker is able to read frames from channel 2, they will be able to capture this flag. In the pirated subscription flag, attackers will have access to a valid and active subscription to channel 3, but that subscription was created for an unknown decoder. If an attacker is able to read frames on channel 3, they will be able to capture this flag. In the no subscription flag, attackers will have to find some way to read channel 4, a channel they have no other information about. If an attacker is able to read frames on channel 4, they will be able to capture this flag. In the recording playback flag, attackers will be given the recording of the encoded frames sent out on channel 1, a channel that they are subscribed to. However, the recording will have occurred before their subscription began. If an attacker is able to read these recorded frames, they will be able to capture this flag. Finally, in the pesky neighbor flag, attackers will try to spoof the satellite to corrupt their neighbor's TV. Attackers will be able to send arbitrary data to a decoder that they do not have physical access to, but that is known to be subscribed to channel 1. If an attacker is able to cause that decoder to accept and decode any invalid frames, the attacker will be awarded the flag. Here is a quick summary of the 5 flags available in the attack phase. With that, just a final few notes, and then you can get on to the rest of the competition. First, to summarize the resources that you will be using every day, there's the eCTF Slack channel. Organizers will add you to the Slack when you complete your individual registration. This is where all discussion will happen and all announcements will happen for the competition. Second, there's the rules website at rules.ectf.miter.org. Third, there's the scoreboard at ectf.ctfd.io. Please note this is a different URL than last year. Your credentials will be posted in your team channels. There is no need to create an account. And finally, there is the reference design. This is posted on the same GitHub as last year with 2025 eCTF insecure example. Here is a quick overview of the design phase schedule. The design phase flags are shown in green, and note that while most are 1 per week, next week has 2 to make sure that you're starting off strong. There will also be a series of workshops. These are designed to help you get going and approach the competition, and many are aligned to design phase flags. The workshops will be recorded and will be posted on Slack for those unable to attend. Please note that the CrowdStrike Career Day workshop has a registration form that you must fill out. More information on the rules website. For the first time this year, professionals will actually be joining you in the eCTF. We're trying a trial run this year with a small group of professional teams who will participate in the attack phase only. If you know anyone who might be interested, including former alumni or even perhaps your parents, there's more information at our website at ectf.miter.org/proleague. To wrap up the whole competition, we'll be hosting a award ceremony and a 10-year celebration on April 25th in the Boston area. Travel grants will be available like last year, and more details on both the award ceremony and travel grants to come. Finally, some words of advice from a past competitor and a many times eCTF observer. Do not underestimate the development time. Development is going to take twice as long as you think, and you have half as much time as you think you have. 6 weeks goes by very fast, so start development early. Aim for the stars, aim for a complex design that does everything you want, but make sure you have intermediate checkpoints where you can incrementally add different features, add just encryption, add authentication, and perhaps at a certain point you hit handoff and you realize, well, maybe I'm not going to implement certain protection, but I have most things done and I can get most flags protected. Being able to work incrementally really gives you that flexibility. Second, try to think like an attacker. I know when you come in and you're trying to design, you have one mentality. But it's really important to try to step back and think, how would I attack this? Every year we see teams go into the attack phase, and the second that they start trying to attack other teams' designs, they come back to us and they ask, can we get our design back? I realize there's 5 different ways we could attack our own design. The answer is no, you can't. Once you're submitted, it's submitted. So instead, think about like an attacker early. If you have enough team members, maybe you can have some of them focus on being a red team early on and thinking of how they would attack the design. This year, we'll even be having you attack the reference design just to get into the swing of things. And finally, please feel free to reach out to get help. There is no shame in asking for help. Everyone was a beginner at some point, or even experts ask for help all the time. There's a tech support channel that you can use that has all of the competitors in it. This is a great resource, and you can reach both the organizers with @organizers as well as your fellow competitors. This will help not just you, but all of your fellow competitors so that they are running into the same problems as you. They can go check that tech support channel and see that other people have already solved that problem. If there's a design-sensitive question that you don't want to ask publicly, that's what your team channel is for. That team channel that will be 2025-your team ID has your team and the eCTF organizers. And you can ask questions that might not want to reveal to the full team. Please do not use DMs to message the organizers. Rather, use the team channel for most questions. If there's something you really need to reach out to that's private, you can email us at ectf@miter.org. Last, I want to just go over the next steps with what we recommend for you to do. First, meet with your team. Schedule some meetings. You see what the pace that works for your team, whether it's regular meetings, sporadic meetings. If there's certain times that work, you can have parts of the team meet at other times. understanding who's interested in what skills people have, and delegating tasks. Read the challenge rules, really understand everything that's there, especially on the security requirements and what the attackers have access to. Understanding that is critical to being able to create a secure design. Then try to get your development environment set up as quickly as possible. It's pretty lightweight this year. All you really need is some kind of IDE to do coding in, and Docker to build the system, and Python. Basically everything else is simple. But once you get that running and build the reference design and get that going, you'll be ready to start making your own design. And then try to plan your design and development timeline. Delegate different tasks to different people on your team, and try to see how you think it will get into the 6 weeks. I would highly recommend trying to aim at having your design done earlier, because deadlines tend to slip, but do try to hold yourself to your goals. And take notes of all of the meetings that you have so you know where you're at and what you need to do. Project management is very important and will help you go a long way in this competition. With that, it's time to get started. So thank you all, and happy hacking. I'll see you on Slack, and happy eCTF 10th anniversary.